So let's go through a few ideas. What I want to do is I want to ask you many, many questions at the beginning, and then we're going to try and put it together and give you some of the answers. I've only put down 6 of the major, well, what's major, what's minor. I can't make a value judgment on that, but starting with the Torah, because that's our point of reference from a Jewish perspective. Within Torah, within New Testament Christian thought, look, if we have a look, now this is really a bit of a cook's tour. Those of you who are experts on either Buddha or Maimonides or Torah or any mainstream thought, forgive me, because I'm just giving you, skimming the surface, and then a little bit of health takeaway. We're going to start a little bit with this. We're going to go into a few philosophical ideas. We're going to then end with some strategies that you can possibly implement from the wisdoms. So if we look at those, the New Testament, the Quran, the Buddhist Tripitaka, has anyone ever heard of that? It's the scripture on which all the Buddhist philosophy is based. So we look at the Buddhist text, we look at the Vedic. Do you know what Vedic is? Vedic is the ancient Indian text. If we look at Confucius, the Chinese, which I love, particularly from traditional Chinese medicine. If we look at all of those, anyone want to give me 3 to 5? I mentioned at the beginning we only remember 3 to 5 things from any whole day of learning. So you may take away 1 from this hour, I hope. Anyone want to give me 3 to 5 things that are in common? We know about the differences. We know about how difference has divided us and caused bloodshed and anguish and everything else. We also know that difference is what we should embrace, diversity and the dignity of difference, and there's a lot on difference, but generally difference is what creates a lot of disharmony amongst us in the world. What are the areas of commonality in all those, plus all the others that you know? Anyone want to guess? No, it doesn't have to be.
They give rules and guidelines.
Guidelines for living, okay. In the realm of what?
Diet.
Oh, so we're talking health. Okay, great. You're going straight into health. Beautiful. I'm talking, if we're going just general stuff. So they do they all? Yes, kind of. Some to health, unfortunately, hasn't been front focus for most of these things, particularly Jewish.
Relationships between people and between a higher
Yay! This is such a great group.
Following on that, there's something wrong with us and we need help from outside.
Okay, we need help from outside of us, or more than help. So yes, we need help, but maybe we need something. We can glean something more than help. So yes, we need some help, but maybe meaning, connectedness. Yes, no?
Well, when I say help, I mean we can't really do it on our own.
There's something bigger than us.
Yes.
Okay, exactly. All right. So there's yes. Oh, ethics, something above us. Guidelines in we're going to be talking about health, so we're going to go into that. But if I give you, disagree with me at any point, I'm going to give you stuff that I've gleaned in my learning, but it may not be what you resonate with. So all the major traditions, wait, let's just go back. So there's lots in common. When you read from all the, and I'm not an expert in all the areas, but there is something called, you're familiar with something called the Golden Rule. Have you ever heard of the Golden Rule?
Yeah.
There's something called the Golden Rule that all religions actually, we will own it, and I'm not sure, I don't know who owns what, but Jews always say it comes from us. Love thy neighbor as thyself, or do not do unto others what you do not want done to yourself. Do not harm anyone. Every one of the major religions that I've mentioned, and there may be many, many more, have the Golden Rule. Whether it's in Islam, where it's not a very clear slide with the light coming in. Hillel said it. Who said it before Hillel in the Torah? Love thy neighbor as thyself. Rabbi Akiva. Originally Rabbi Akiva, Hillel. It's one of the basic premises of Judaism, but so is it in Islam, believe it or not. A lot of people don't believe it's there, but it certainly is. It's in Christianity, in Matthew, as you would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise. In Buddhism, certainly, that's what it's all about. And when you read about all the combinations of all the religions, the Golden Rule stands out. But there's more than the Golden Rule. There's a whole lot of other stuff. Okay, so there we go. Amongst all of them, do not do to others as you would have them do unto yourself. I'm coming to Buddha and I'm coming to Muhammad, I nearly said. Maimonides, we're going to go into all of them. And what can we learn about your health? We're going to go into your health. But if we look at all the major traditions, spiritual traditions, what we all have in common is a belief. Do you all agree with me? We have a belief in something bigger than ourselves. God, nothingness, the universe, a force. So there's a belief that it's not all about me and my little life, there's something bigger. What else? Connectedness. Spiritual pathways, whether you base them in religion or not, is about having a sense of connectedness to each other and to the collective God. For the sake of, we can call it Hashem, it's Limud, it's Jewish, you don't mind if I use the word Hashem. There's a connection to God, there's a connection to each other, and spiritual pathways are about being connected and engaging with others and spirituality. What else? Love, which was the golden rule. It's about love. It's about and these are things in all of them. It's amazing if every religion or if every spiritual belief system could teach children, their children, just one sentence, just the golden rule, nothing else. Not what's kosher, what's not, just the golden rule over and over again. Can you imagine? Can you just imagine? Instead of my land, his land, my religion, his religion, my God, his God. Okay. So love is central. We've lost the plot. A sense of meaning. Spirituality is about a sense of meaning. But for me, not most importantly, that's the wrong word. For me, what resonates most is that all have a healing pathway. All talk about healing. So that's what we're going to talk about a bit in the next short while. And how it relates to you personally. And what exactly healing is. And what exactly health is. All of them have, some of them deeply entrenched in the tradition, and you have to dig. And in Judaism, unfortunately, there's been a lot of digging. Everyone quotes Rambam, but Maimonides, but there's lots else. So before I wrote, this is not about me, but I wrote a whole lot of books on health and women's health and teenagers and all kinds of things. Before I wrote all that, let's just go back there. Before I wrote all that, 22 years ago, when I closed my practice for the very first time after being in clinical medicine for a while and I had a very sick baby, I started writing on, I had read so much of Ayurvedic medicine. Anyone know what Ayurvedic medicine is? The ancient Indian pathway, which is beautiful. There's so much material in there. And I'd read about Ayurvedic medicine, and I'd read about traditional Chinese medicine, and I studied a bit of traditional Chinese medicine. And not much on Christian healing, but there is a lot. They talk about Christ being the doctor, Christus medicus. Every religion has got health and healing at its core. And my thing was, where is it in our Torah? Where is it in Judaism? Where does it say, take care of your health? Where are the guidelines? Why is health and the body kind of abstract in Judaism? So I started writing on spirituality and mainstream Western medicine. I come from Western medical practiced clinical medicine for 20 years, and my passion was spirituality and medicine. I wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote, never published anything, and then what happened, things opened up and my work moved in different directions, and publishers didn't want any of that stuff. They wanted women's health with wellness, and they wanted children's health with wellness and corporate health, and I kind of got into media, and I realized no one really, except for my little community, my little insular community in South Africa, wanted to hear about Jewish spirituality and health. And there were some people writing, no worries. But I put it to rest for, life works in very strange ways. The reason I started writing on healing was I had a very, very sick baby. I already had 3 children. And then I had a baby that, Rivka, you met my baby who was sick. That's the one who was very, very sick and nearly died and was in ICU and on ventilators and only one functioning kidney and lungs didn't expand and he was nearly, whatever, was dramatically badly managed. And I closed my practice and I started writing on healing, and I was fascinated with healing. But then went into the world and did everything else. Life has a way of closing many circles. And a year ago, I was in the US meeting with someone about some other collaborative work on insulin and the end of disease and rewriting the book. And the gentleman said to me, it's taken me 5 years to write this manuscript, together with a scientist in Israel. He's an American scientist, but a venture capitalist, but passionate about Torah and everything else. I've written this thing on spirituality and the Torah. Contemporary stuff I've drawn from the Rambam, I've drawn from the Hasidic thought. It's about the future of medicine, it's about whatever. Take it and see if you like it and write the forward and take it to Australia. I took the book and it was like all over the place. I said, I'll work on it, but I'll rework it. I said, this was my passion 20-something years ago. Let's move on from me, but the reality is with the book, what happened, it actually came out this week. It's an awful cover. I don't know why the picture's great, but I don't know why the circle and everything else. But it's all about the integration of Torah and medicine. It was originally launched in Hebrew, and it's now been launched in Chinese. But I just showed you that to show you that sometimes what is your passion comes back to you in unexpected ways. And I haven't spoken on Jewish spirituality and health for many, 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 many years. So you are probably one of the first audiences that I'm talking to. So you're part of the process. Limud is a process. So it's about moving from here. But I want to stop for a moment and I want to hand over to you and I want to ask you what we're now leaving. We haven't even touched on the Rambam. We haven't even touched on Buddha. We're going to get to them. Maimonides being Rambam, for those of you who saw the title. We call Maimonides, who was Moses ben Maimon, the Rambam, which is the initials of Rabbi Moses ben Maimon. So I will use the term Rambam, which means Maimonides. We'll come back to Maimonides. So we're going to get there, but I want to now stop for a moment and say, your health. What is health? What is health? And then we'll get into Torah and everything else.
I actually want to take you back
Good,
to
okay.
a couple of slides where you had a list of
The connectedness.
that one.
Okay.
If you can show us that one
Okay.
again.
All right. You don't want to go into health yet.
Yes, I do.
Okay, good.
Because I think health is about
Oh, beautiful.
all
Thank
these
you,
things.
Terry.
So in one way, when you were talking about those, bringing those topics to mind, it felt to me that we were talking about something on the very big, if you want to use the word macro,
Yes,
not my
yes.
favourite, but there's also got to be that whole thing about a belief in yourself, a connectedness which is going to be a mental and a physical, as well as a head to toe. We know that the head bone's connected to the
Exactly. The body.
the love at an intimate level, but also that love. We know
Self-love.
full well the self-love. Meaning, if we don't have meaning, we've got very little. And healing, how much of healing is going to be coming from going to the GP, connecting to other people. To what extent is healing going to be coming from within as opposed to healing coming
From other.
without?
Excellent.
So-
And you know what? That's beautiful. Thank you for that, because you've given a cosmic, macro, the big. You've actually given a definition, a beautiful definition and summary. And I didn't make that connection, interestingly enough. You came back to my slide and it's there, but you gave a nice overview of what healing really is, which is much more than health, because I was going there. So let's go back to what is health. You're quite right, it is all those things, and practically, how do we do it? So I'm going to leave you, and in a few minutes, you're going to give me how do we do that integration? How do we say that the head is connected to the body? How do we ensure physical health, mental health, spiritual health, emotional health, the integration of all of it? What are the practical steps? But I want to unpack and go back to just that's healing and health. I want to go back to just health.
Well, I mean, is it Terry?
Pick up from Terry.
Yeah, now I've heard Terry, I realise my first responses were appallingly impoverished. But I suppose my first thought when I saw what is health was an effectively functioning body.
Yeah.
And then I thought, oh no, an effectively functioning body and mind.
And then you said?
No, I'm not sure that I
You
went
didn't
very
go
much
further.
further, and then I got caught up in Terry's stuff.
Fantastic.
So,
Thank you. So Terry took us on a
Yeah.
soaring journey
Yeah.
to the real concept of healing. Thank you, Clive, for bringing us back down to the body,
Yeah,
which
that
is
one.
but it's the we do. Let's be honest. We actually, when we say we want good health, we do want a strong, healthy body. But we don't just want a strong, healthy body at any age. We also want a strong, healthy mind. Maybe strong's not always the word, but a healthy mind. And?
I was just thinking that you've got this dichotomy between mind and body, that a religious definition might give the mind control of the body and a secular definition might give the body control of the mind. But if you take a question what is health, maybe if you take an infusion of the two and get some balance, it's like not
balance.
Dominance of one over the other.
Exactly, and I'm coming to balance because I want to turn balance on its head. What we think about balance, I'm going to go totally counterintuitive. Sally.
The next step, I think it's a balance between a highly functioning mind, body and spirit.
Spirit as well, and there's a huge interface. We may not measure it in the same way, we may not be able to see it in the same way, but spirit is there. And what have we left out? It's part of mind. Emotions. Emotions. We think it's separate and we feel it as separate. So we think mind thinks, mind analyzes, mind's data, mind's, and emotions are kind of here. Anger, happiness, sadness. In fact, where are emotions? Where? Yeah, there, soul. Where there? Frontal cortex, brain, we're going to come to brain in a moment, and you've had limbic system, and frontal cortex is the analytic reasoning brain, which we've all got. We're sitting here, we're trying to absorb some of the stuff, think of ideas, but then at the back of our brain we have the limbic system, which is the emotional brain, which is all about, and it's there, it's a whole lot of organs, the hippocampus and the amygdala, and do you remember biology? Are you in biology? Amygdala, hippocampus, what else? Come on, help me, Sophia. You haven't learned the limbic system yet in biology. Okay.
Doesn't that sort of tie up to what we call like gut reactions?
And
so that we
can feel it.
Yes.
And you know what's interesting? People talk about the brain in the gut. There actually there's so much nervous tissue that the gut is actually a second brain physiologically. So that's interesting. So you've all given some lovely ideas.
The heart as well.
Heart.
There is some memory.
Exactly. There's memory in heart. Not only is there memory in heart, there's physical stuff. So we think we feel here, and I'm saying to you, science is now showing that we feel there. But oh yes, we do feel here. And that's the reason we use the language heart sore, heartache, heartfelt. Give me some more. Broken-hearted. Yeah. Heart is a powerful, and I'm going to come to I love the fact that you're all metaphoric people. I did a talk this week and I tried to go from, it was on resilience, on brain science, and then I wanted to dive into metaphors, and like they were all business women who use a lot of frontal cortex, and it was very hard to get them to the metaphor of, so you all in the metaphors, the heart, the brain.
Sorry, one last thing. Disease can also be read as dis-ease.
Being without, okay. So let me put on my medical hat now. Yes, I want to give you all a chance, Deborah. Yes. I'm not letting any of you go to any of the other sessions. Okay, it's anti-limud, but I love this group, so I'm having them the whole day.
I teach a little bit around the difference, a range of things, but the ICF, the World Health Organization, ICF, its movement from a biomedical model to a biopsychosocial model, and now
the world view has shifted.
Absolutely, and now a thought around. So in there, you also have contextual factors which you haven't talked about in relation to family and people around attitudes of people around how they impact on health. And there's now a movement to put culture across the ICF.
Exactly. Culture, demographics, thank you for bringing that in. Because mind, body, emotions, soul, mind, body, emotions, soul, it's just about me. Me is a person in a context of a family, of a tribe, of a culture, of a community, and the demographics of where I live, my cultural identity, my socioeconomic status, all that affects health. That's huge. Thank you for bringing that in. So it's huge. We can stick on this slide for ages. But I want to go back to, don't know which side is my medical side, left.
Sticking in with health, if you go to treatment...
Yes, let's get to physical health.
Treatment is not a single pronged approach, it's a multidisciplinary.
It's got to be multidisciplinary.
So you're talking spiritual, with the brain, you're talking the mental attitude, your spiritual attitude, your thoughts, then you've also got the physical part, which is the physical body. So it's exercise, breathing.
Yes, thank you.
The food you put in.
That's what we're going to go into strategies.
The whole spiritual connection
Beautiful.
of food, where it's come from, how it's growing, and
Thank you, Robin.
That
That's
whole-
exactly where we go.
and spirituality.
Comes
and that
into
does
it.
not mean religion, but
No.
it's connected.
Higher self. Beautiful. Let's
And
move.
gratitude is the other part.
You've given the whole lecture. You can all go now and you can go and sun yourself in this beautiful person. But I want to. We've got into nice philosophical, metaphorical things. But let's get back to my medical self. The traditional definition of health still needs to exist. Health, although we've moved away from it because you are a skewed audience, you are people who are already integrated in dealing with all that stuff, but the reality is in another audience, if it would have just been in the hall there, someone would have said the absence of disease. That health is the absence of disease. Now it's a very narrow definition, we don't use it anymore, even in clinical medicine and World Health Organization guidelines. But really, when we say we want to be healthy, none of us really want to be sick.
Linda, can I just say, having worked in the health service in Britain, you say you don't use that. But actually,
it
that is
but the
exactly how we behave.
Exactly. It's how we behave.
Our health
Yes.
services
You're quite
are
right.
all about, not about health, they're about
Disease.
Avoiding
It's about
disease or solving
exactly.
disease.
And avoiding disease is already a big step.
Yeah.
You could actually stop
Yeah,
at saying it's
solving.
all about disease and treating disease, because a lot of disease we can't cure. I mean, there's a lot we can do, but the reality is that is what the medical model has expanded and it's shifted and it's beautiful to see. But you go into a hospital, it is about sick people, and medical people have to work in that model. So we really want to keep ourselves healthy in the old-fashioned or mainstream approach, which is we don't want to get ill. But more than that, it's also about, once I already have an illness, because I'm sure in this group, like any family, like anyone anywhere, we all have something. Someone here has probably got diabetes, someone here may have a high blood pressure, someone here, or more than someone here, has had a tumor somewhere removed. Robin's had some major surgery. We all live with some illness somewhere. We would prefer there to be nothing, but that's not the real world. In the real world, there is disease, and we need to manage it. I'm not giving the medical talk, but we have to face it and deal with it all the time. We hope our doctors are more expansive and can treat the illness together with the whole person. So health is the absence of illness to an extent, plus all the other things we said. But what has shifted is it's not only the absence of disease, it's not, what has shifted, Clive, and I'm glad you brought up that point, is that the model lay in the hands of the doctors. So you had something wrong with you, you didn't feel well, you felt depressed, you felt dizzy, you thought you felt a lump, whatever it may be, you go to the doctor, hand it over. Where the model has shifted, and it still hasn't become totally mainstream, but it certainly is the model, is that so much is within our control. Disease prevention, health promotion. So the question I'm going to ask you next is what percentage of factors that determine whether we get ill is within our own personal control. That we get ill and we succumb to, say, a premature death. So now, there are random things in the universe. If you believe in God, you may believe it's all divinely ordained and things happen because of God's will. I'm not contesting that, or we're not even going into that discussion. But there are terrible things that happen. Not only older people get ill, young people get ill. Why does a 2-year-old, if it's about prevention and health promotion, why does a 2-year-old get a brain cancer? Why does someone who's always eaten healthily, done yoga, kept within a good body mass index, not smoked, didn't drink a lot of alcohol, get a pancreatic cancer that you can't cure within 6 weeks? It's over. There's so much that is beyond our control. Genetic mutations. I'm giving you the depressing talk. We need some wine here afterwards. But let's go to the other side. What are the major illnesses in the world at the moment? We're talking physical. I'm going into spiritual in a moment, and mental and emotional and contextual. What are the major killers in the world today? What is the number one killer in the world today? What are 2 out of 3 of us going to be our end point, whether it's 85, 95, or 65? And sometimes it happens at 45. The major killer in the world? Heart disease, not cancer. Heart disease, heart attack. The end point for most of us, women and men, is going to be heart attack. We want to make sure that happens right at the end, not prematurely. Heart disease, chronic diseases of lifestyle, obesity, poor diet, smoking, excessive alcohol, toxins in the environment. The rest is the whole lump of cancer. Excuse the pun, but the whole group of cancer we lump together. But there are many cancers are totally curable and some are not, so I don't want to go into that. But a lot of those are dependent on lifestyle choices.